My sister-in-law only married into our family because the bridal sedan chairs were swapped. When everyone realized what happened and wanted to switch them back, my sister-in-law had already finished the wedding night ceremony. My brother, a rough around the edges soldier, just like that, in a daze, ended up with a refined high-born lady for a wife. Later, when I saw him in the courtyard using his broadsword to cut silk threads for her, I actually thought they were a perfect match. On the day my brother got married, my mother and I were beyond happy. He left the village at 14 to make a living with the village elders, and we all thought he'd only ever be a manual laborer carrying heavy loads, but fate had other plans. On the road, he saved a military commander who helped him enlist in the army. By the time he returned to the village to pick us up, he was already a 5th-ranked general of Dingyuan. When we first arrived in the capital, the day we moved into the mansion, my mother was beaming with joy. That spacious courtyard, the elegant rooms, and the expensive-looking furniture inside. When we go back to the village, it'll be enough to brag about for 3 days and 3 nights. But as she laughed, my mother started to cry. Underneath my brother's clothes were layers upon layers of scars. One was just half a finger's width away from his heart. Just looking at it, you could tell how dangerous it must have been. Mother said this wealth was earned with my brother's life, so he deserves to live a good life now. What is a good life for a man? Naturally, it's having a wife, children, and a warm bed. The commander my brother saved was named Wei, and he was also appointed as a 5th-ranked general, half a rank higher than my brother. They had made a pact on the battlefield. They both survived. General Wei would marry his youngest daughter to my brother. Once mother found out, before she even had a chance to settle in, she started making preparations. I secretly asked my brother, "Do you like that, Miss Wei?" He looked up at the sky. When you're fighting, you don't think about whether you like someone or not. You just need something to look forward to so you can stay alive. His eyes looked very distant. I imagine the battlefield must be a very difficult place. So besides me and mother, he had to think of more potential good lives to keep himself going. He then added that regardless of whether he liked her before, once he married her, he would learn to love her, never let her get upset, and never let her be unhappy. I Weining remembered that. That is what a real man is. If the person you marry in the future can't do that, tell your brother, and I'll go and snatch you back. Anyway, our family has money now, enough to take care of you for a lifetime. My brother's plan was perfect, but at the very last moment, the bride's sedan chair was taken to the wrong place. A sudden strange gust of wind blew that day. When the sedan chair reached the street corner, it was blown off course. The Ministry of Rites official was also marrying off his daughter that day, using the same route. Coincidentally, recently, a very famous artist appeared at the Inyuan temple on the outskirts of the capital. Every family getting married used the same style of sedan chair and wedding dress he painted. So, the servants from both families didn't notice. After the strange wind passed, they delivered the wrong sedan chair. By the time they finished the wedding rites and entered the bridal chamber and were about to drink the nuptial wine, the Wei family's maid screamed in shock. "Who are you? Where's my young mistress?" Mother and I heard the commotion and rushed over, and saw a woman wearing a bright red wedding dress, sitting on the edge of the bed with her head bowed. She didn't show much expression, but she looked indescribably gentle. My brother said in a soft, stuttering voice, "Don't worry, miss. I've already sent someone to notify the Xie mansion. They will be here very soon." I stood behind him and saw his ears were bright red. The maid beside her explained everything in a flurry of words. Only then did mother and I realize that wasn't the Wei girl, but Miss Shen Ming Tang from the Ministry of Rites official's mansion. Unlike my brother's marriage, which was unknown to everyone, her engagement to Lord Xie Yuzhou was the hottest topic in the capital recently. Even a country bumpkin like me knew about it. The eldest daughter of the ministry official had a hard life in her early years, struggling under a cruel stepmother. But her late mother must have been watching over her from heaven because the son of the chief minister took a fancy to her. That Lord Xie Yuzhou not only had a great family background, but was also very talented. He passed the imperial examinations at 17, and within 4 years, he had reached the position of a 5th-rank civil official. Civil officials in the Great Zhao dynasty are highly valued, and those of the same rank are worth much more than military officials. My brother really couldn't compare to him. Even though I could see the stars in his eyes, he still stood far away from Miss Shen, constantly trying to reassure her that the Xie family would arrive soon. But only an old nanny and a young maid arrived. The old nanny wiped her tears and said, "The Xie family found out too late. Young Master Xie and that Miss Wei have already consummated the marriage." The Xie family said, "This marriage probably can't be undone." The young maid was much faster to speak, cursing immediately, Those heartless people in the family. As soon as they heard the Xie family wouldn't marry her, they immediately took back all the dowry. And didn't even come to pick her up. What are we going to do? Are we really going back to the Shen mansion? If we go back, who knows who they'll try to marry the young mistress off to next? Those cold-hearted wretches. Mother finally understood at this point, and waved her hand to send the servants out. She wasn't quite used to ordering people around like that yet. She paused for a moment before she was ready to speak, but the young lady spoke first. She raised her head, looked straight at my brother, her voice trembling slightly but filled with determination. A determination to fight for herself just once. She said, "Master Lu, the wood is already carved into a boat. What's done is done. Are you willing to make the best of this mistake and marry me?" A long time later, my brother told me that when he lifted the veil and saw his wife, he thought he had married a fairy. But he had only just looked at her when someone shattered his beautiful dream. Fortunately, heaven was watching and gave him another chance. So, his answer was of course a definite yes. That night was truly chaotic. After arranging for the Wei family's people and dowry to go to the Xie family, the wedding night finally began. Mother saw my brother acting like such a blockhead, and actually dragged me to crouch under the window to eavesdrop. My legs were numb from crouching. Before I heard the two wooden heads inside speak, the first sentence my brother said was, You are not willing. I will go sleep on the couch. I understand. I'm a rough man. Not like you people." Miss Shen didn't speak. After a long while, there was a smack sound. It sounded just like the noise I make when I kiss my kitten. Then Miss Shen stuttered too, saying in a tiny voice, "Does this mean you understand whether I'm willing or not?" Whether my brother understood or not, I don't know, but my mother definitely did. She pulled me up and we walked away, laughing heartily. This daughter-in-law is a great catch. Your brother really grew up for nothing. He's not as quick-witted as the girl. I'm happy if mother is happy. But after walking only a few steps, we heard something that didn't make us so happy. It was the two maids who accompanied my sister-in-law. The maid was named Banksia. Banksia pouted and said, "My mistress has such a hard life. Young Master Xia was so elegant, but now she has to be paired with a mud-legged soldier. Look at how messy their mansion is." We just went to the kitchen, and they didn't even know to have hot water prepared. We had to boil it ourselves. Nanny Tsin scolded her. "Mind your manners. What do you mean their mansion? From now on, this is also the young mistress's mansion. The master, the old mistress, and the young lady are also our masters. Watch your tongue. Don't bring trouble to the young mistress." After scolding her, even she sighed and said, "What else can we do? The young mistress doesn't even have a dowry chest. That is her biggest weakness. From now on, she'll have to rely on others for food and clothing. She won't even have the confidence to speak up." I wanted to say they were wrong. My brother said he wouldn't let his wife be unhappy. Our family has money now. We can afford to provide for her. But mother didn't let me speak. She dragged me back to her room and we counted gold for half the night. That gold was given by my brother. Brother said after he became a vanguard, every time they won a battle, the great general would distribute rewards based on their merits. He didn't understand the things they looted from the enemy, so he asked for gold of equal value instead of jewelry. The day mother first arrived, he moved all of it into mother's room. Because mother once said, if she could live to sleep on gold in this lifetime, then she wouldn't have lived in vain. Brother remembered her wish, so he saved up a lot of gold for her. Mother divided the gold into 3 parts. 1 part just for me to keep, to use as my dowry. I finally see it now. People in the capital are very particular. If a girl doesn't bring enough dowry, she'll be gossiped about for a lifetime. Look at your sister-in-law. She's so much better than your brother. Still worried about being gossiped about by our family because of the dowry, she said unhappily. I really like this sister-in-law. But I like my brother even more. Since we were little, the village girls would always crowd around him. As for Tan One, that won't do. Didn't you see it yourself? He was practicing with his sword in the courtyard this morning. He was so good at it. The maid was staring at him wide-eyed. Mother chuckled. That's my son. How could he be anything less? Then she pointed to the other 2 portions of gold and said, these 2 portions. One for your brother. And one for daily expenses. Mother wants to give them to your sister-in-law to manage. To put her mind at ease. Do you agree? I nodded. It was earned by my brother anyway. So it's only right for her to manage it. The next morning, my sister-in-law respectfully served Mother tea, handed Mother a forehead ornament, and gave me a sachet. She said shyly, these are simple gifts. Please don't mind them, Mother and sister. Before a new bride marries, she is supposed to embroider items for her husband's family. But her entire dowry was taken back by the Shen family. Even her change of clothes had to be bought by someone sent out. Where would she get a forehead ornament and a sachet? My brother helped her sit down and explained with a pained heart. Ming Tang stayed up all night embroidering these. She said the proper rituals were missed, so she had to make up for it as best she could. We looked closely at her eyes, and sure enough, they were dark and tired. Mother was right. My sister-in-law is feeling insecure, so she refuses to make even the slightest mistake. I quickly took her hand and said, what's this about sister-in-law? Sister-in-law, just call me whinnying like my brother does. Your hands are so skillful. The butterfly on the sachet looks like it's about to fly. Unlike me, I can't even hold a needle. Her expression softened a bit. As if she had found something to do. This was made specially for you. Do you want to learn how to embroider one? Mother interrupted him. That won't do. Aijing's wife. After the 3-day return visit, you should start managing the household affairs. You don't have time to play with a child like her. Are you asking me to manage the house? How can I do that? I am still young. And I still have much to learn from my elders. You flatter me too much. My sister-in-law refused, looking terrified, as if this were an impossible task. Mother shoved 2 keys into her hand. Hey, just think of it as helping me out. They keep coming to me with all sorts of accounts. And I can barely read a few words. How could I understand them? So annoying. The keys to the storeroom are yours now. Take some time to inventory them when you can. The storeroom contains the gold Mother moved in, and some gifts exchanged with other military families. When she realized Mother was serious, and even my brother held her hand to accept it, she gripped the keys and solemnly promised. Promise you. I will make sure every account in this house is clear. And I won't let you down. That afternoon, she ignored her new husband, my brother, and dove straight into the storeroom with Nanitsin and Banksia. Counting and writing everything down. Mother was afraid they would get too hot, so she had me bring them some mung bean soup. Just as I reached the door, I heard Banksia chattering away again. But this time she was saying good things. I really didn't expect the old mistress to be so generous. The power to manage the household. Which family's matriarch doesn't keep that in her own hands? Waiting until the daughter-in-law is old, before finally trusting her? My sister-in-law didn't say anything, but she was smiling. Not the cautious smile from this morning, but a steady, comforting one. It's great that she understands Mother's heart. I peeked in, stuck my head in and said, Sister-in-law, I've brought you some soup. I also want to put in a word for my brother. This gold and silver won't run away if you tidy it up later. Why don't you go see him? He's walked past this courtyard 10 times already. My sister-in-law, whether from fear or shyness, blushed bright red, and didn't answer, but waved her hand and said, Waining, since you're here, come and help me. You're 13 now, you should learn to manage the house too. I wanted to help my brother, but ended up getting myself roped in too. My sister-in-law was so busy with this, she couldn't attend to the return visit gifts, so my brother prepared them all. We also planned to take the dowry gifts we brought back from the Wei family and send them over together. The Wei family has a deep connection with my brother, and the dowry we gave was already generous. But Mother, remembering the Shen family's behavior, added even more. She wanted to save face for my sister-in-law, but when we arrived at the Shen residence, we couldn't even get through the front gate. The Shen family had arranged several rows of servants at the entrance, and not a single family member came out, just a steward standing in front. It's a pity that in our great Zhou dynasty, civil and military officials don't intermarry. This marriage is not recognized by our Shen family. This marriage is not recognized by our Shen family. Eldest miss, if you have any backbone at all, you should return home. And the family will naturally support you for the rest of your life. Pa, returning home like that, besides a nunnery, what other good place could there be? No wonder mother insisted I come along regardless of etiquette. She said my brother is a man after all, and there are some occasions where it's inconvenient for him to go. In case my sister-in-law's stepmother tries to cause trouble, I have to protect my sister-in-law from trouble. Don't worry, we're just rough people from the countryside anyway. Not knowing etiquette is normal. I stepped forward ready to rush out, but my brother grabbed me by the back of my collar, pulled me back, and stepped forward saying loudly, civil and military officials don't intermarry? I heard that Lady Xia went to the palace the day before yesterday and told the Empress Dowager about this matter. The Emperor was there at the time, and His Majesty laughed heartily, praising it as a match made in heaven. Are you a lowly servant? Questioning the Emperor? My sister-in-law looked at my brother in surprise, her eyes wide open. This is my brother? My brother is actually this impressive when he speaks. The Ministry of Rites is a high-ranking office, yet he wasn't afraid at all, and his words were so effective. Just as he finished speaking, a man walked out from the gate. My sister-in-law saw him, stepped forward and bowed, calling him father. My brother also stepped forward and called him father-in-law. That Master Shen waved his hand and said, I cannot accept this title of father-in-law from you. This marriage had no matchmaker and no betrothal gifts. My Shen family does not recognize it. Humph. Don't try to use the Xia family to pressure me. It's a good thing for a man to take responsibility. But my child is a woman. This time I didn't even blink, because this matter had blown up way too much. Even though I'm still young, I understand that this biological father saying these things in public is basically forcing my sister-in-law to die. My sister-in-law just stood there quietly. Not even her eyes turned red. But I felt she was even more pitiful. She must be used to being treated like this, so she wasn't even surprised. The people around were whispering and gossiping. I walked to her side, hugged her gently, and whispered, Sister-in-law, don't be afraid. You have a home now. We will protect you. The person who hadn't cried just a moment ago let a tear fall onto my face. Seeing my sister-in-law cry, my brother spoke with anger in his voice. Master Shen, listen to this. On the day we married, we bowed to heaven and earth. My wife was waiting for you to make the decision for her. But your household only thought about rushing to take back the dowry. Not a single person came to pick up my wife. She was just a weak girl of 18. She married into the wrong family. Her parents didn't care about her. Besides learning to follow the lead of the adults, what else could she do? What else could she do? After my brother finished speaking, the passersby who were pointing at my sister-in-law suddenly realized, that's right. How old is the bride? How would she know how to handle such a thing? She just followed what she was taught. If the Shen family really didn't want this marriage, they should have come to pick her up that very day. Didn't he just say it? They were only concerned about the dowry. Poor thing. I heard the Shen family's mother is a stepmother. Sure enough, a stepmother means a stepfather. You guys don't understand. The bride was originally supposed to marry into the Xia family. For the sake of face, the dowry must have been quite large. With everyone talking at once, Master Shen was left speechless. Before he could even respond, while he was still stunned, a middle-aged man stepped out from the crowd. He glared at him and said, Is this how you treat the child my sister left behind? She got married and you didn't even invite us, her maternal uncles. We heard the news and rushed over as fast as we could, only to happen upon this scene. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known how much my niece was suffering. I was so happy I kept shaking my sister-in-law's hand. My brother is a junior after all, but a mother's brother holds the highest authority. When it comes to my sister-in-law's affairs, her uncle really has a say. I saw her uncle wave his hand, and a dozen young men emerged from the crowd, all carrying gifts tied with red silk. He shouted toward the Shen family gate. You don't acknowledge this son-in-law. But I, her uncle, do. You won't provide a dowry. But I, her uncle, will. Filial piety is only possible if the elders fulfill their responsibilities first. With the way you act as a father. My niece and her husband shouldn't step foot in your Shen family home again. I'm here to settle this marriage alliance. My brother seized the opportunity and added, it's not that she isn't filial. It's that her father rejected her filial piety first. Since that's the case, we, the Lu family, will follow Master Shen's wishes. We won't visit again. After saying that, he bowed, turned toward my sister-in-law's uncle, and started walking home. Master Shen was still shouting from behind. She only had one daughter in her family. Where would she get an uncle from? But just then, the band hired by the uncle started playing festive music, drowning out his words. Everyone cast a look of disdain at the Shen residents, and then followed the festive procession home with us. It really looked like a grand display of a dowry being delivered to my sister-in-law. I got into the carriage with my sister-in-law. Before stepping in, she glanced at my brother's back. I don't know why, but I felt like there were little stars in her eyes. Just like my brother on their wedding night. Once we got home and closed the door, my brother finally told us the truth. That uncle was a distant cousin. My sister-in-law's maternal grandparents' family had long since passed away, but he wouldn't let her be mistreated. On the day of the wedding, seeing the Shen family's behavior, he feared something like this would happen, so he asked his brothers from the military camp to go fetch this cousin. As for the dowry from the uncle, the boxes were mostly filled with filler items, but the dowry list was read aloud all the way to our house. The items on it were also genuinely placed into our storage. As my brother had used his own betrothal gifts to fill them in, he made such a big show of it, wanting outsiders to know that my sister-in-law has family backing her, and that she brought a dowry with her, so no one could mock her. There was one more thing, which my brother only said. After my sister-in-law returned to her room, he said that given the Shen family's character, there would likely be trouble in the future. If they treated my sister-in-law well, we would help them out. If they treated her poorly, today's performance would serve to sever ties with the Shen family. I looked at him and asked somewhat strangely, Brother, are you really my brother? You've become so clever. Like what you said in front of the Shen residents. You definitely couldn't have said that before. He patted my head. Silly girl. Do you think one can rely only on fists? There are many old foxes who play with pins there. If I weren't clever, I wouldn't even be able to feed the soldiers under my command. I thought to myself secretly, no wonder you're like a little black-skinned fox now. Mother felt a bit heartbroken and changed the subject, cursing Master Shen for being a terrible person, mistreating his own daughter like that. As she cursed, she hugged me and said, it's a good thing your father died early. Men have no conscience. If I were in heaven and saw your father treating you like that, I'd strike him dead with a lightning bolt. I quickly covered her mouth. Phew, phew, phew. Father is protecting us from heaven. My brother and I have grown up so well. We're nothing like that old scoundrel from the Shen family. After the 3-day return visit, my sister-in-law's spirit was clearly different. She started taking charge of the household management. My mother and I then realized that a lot of things had been stolen from the house recently. My sister-in-law gathered all the servants in the courtyard and placed the inventory ledger in front of Aunt Wang. The storeroom was previously managed by her. I'd like to ask you, Aunt, where are the jade beads listed in this diagram, since she came from the village with us? Mother subconsciously explained, she's illiterate. She won't understand even if you show her. My sister-in-law smiled at Mother. The accountant's wife made diagrams. They can understand it as soon as they look at it. I leaned in to look, and every line in the ledger had a picture next to it. It looked exactly like the real items I saw in the storeroom. Aunt Wang also smiled and replied, Young mistress, what do I know about jade beads? Maybe you moved them in and out of the storeroom these past 2 days, and they got misplaced somewhere. Nanny Zheng stood behind my sister-in-law and let out a heavy snort. Humph. Aunt Wang, the young mistress is giving you face by calling you Aunt. Not so you can act like an elder. In this house, please address your superiors. The old mistress, the general, the young lady, and the young mistress. Mother opened her mouth to speak, but I pulled her back from behind. Seeing mother didn't speak, Aunt Wang reluctantly replied to the young mistress, "I really don't know where those jade beads went." My sister-in-law looked up at her and said calmly, "If you don't know, Aunt, then Nanny, take a few people to her room and search for them. Perhaps Aunt has a poor memory," and took them back by mistake. As soon as she said this, Aunt Wang exploded. Just like back in the village, she sat on the ground and started wailing. "Ah! Lin Xiugu, you were the one who begged me to come here. What does your daughter-in-law mean by this? Is she treating me like a thief? Now that your Lu family is rich, is this how you treat your fellow villagers?" Lin Xiugu is my mother's name. But when we first came to the capital, mother didn't beg her. She knew my brother was going to be an official and sat at our house sighing every day, saying she couldn't make a living. Mother couldn't bear it and asked if she wanted to come along. She followed immediately. Once she came, some bolder villagers followed too. Mother didn't want to show favoritism, so she arranged for them all to work in the house. Banksia, with her sharp tongue, stepped forward and said, "No need to put on an act here. I'll go search your room. If I don't find anything, I'll kneel and kowtow to apologize to you. If I do find it, you'll come with me to see the magistrate. Do you dare?" As soon as Aunt Wang heard magistrate, her face turned pale, and she slumped on the ground speechless. But Banksia didn't let her off. Continuing, "You just saw the jade beads, which are rare in the countryside, and thought since the old mistress isn't used to wearing them, you could steal them. You also bullied the old mistress because she trusted you, and just carelessly stuffed them in your room. Which is why you're afraid to let me search, right? Besides the grocery money and the clothing money, you've probably already lined your pockets, haven't you?" Aunt Wang wasn't someone easily frightened, but her expression already said it all. However, since they were fellow villagers, mother looked at my sister-in-law pleadingly. We had promised my brother that we wouldn't interfere when my sister-in-law managed the house. My brother said household management is a science of its own. The servants also have their own little agendas. If mother spoke up, it would not only make things difficult for my sister-in-law, but in the future, those people would use mother to pressure her again. Then my sister-in-law's authority would become fake. So mother didn't speak up. But my sister-in-law understood mother's look. She concluded firmly, "Aunt, you are from my husband's hometown. I believe you were just confused for a moment. Our Lu household will give all of you a chance. Before sunset tomorrow, as long as you return the items to the storeroom, we won't pursue this further. If you still don't repent, then we'll have no choice but to see the magistrate." I felt a lump in my throat seeing that after hearing my sister-in-law's words, so many people let out a sigh of relief. Just how much had they stolen from our house? After everyone left, mother sat down listlessly and said, "I thought since we'd known each other for decades, I trusted her to manage things. How did it end up like this?" My sister-in-law heard this and knelt down directly, saying, "It's my fault for making you sad, mother. I should have taken it slowly. But the situation is special right now. If the inner household isn't cleaned up, something major could happen." The special situation my sister-in-law mentioned, it was her father who impeached my brother for being arrogant and disrespectful to his elders, claiming he was morally unfit to hold office. Because of this, civil and military officials are currently locked in a war of words. Mother knew she couldn't change her mind all at once. I whispered to my sister-in-law, telling her not to worry. I have a way to cure mother's heartache. The next day I took mother and we crouched around the storehouse, watching the uncles, aunts, maids, and servants one by one, constantly putting things into the storehouse. Gold hairpins, rings, earrings. Everything valuable was there. The boldest one actually snuck away with a gold bracelet as thick as a finger. It broke my mother's heart. I took the initiative to knock on my sister-in-law's door and let my daughter-in-law handle it. "You must take control of those people immediately." My sister-in-law guided me through the whole process. She said these are things a young lady must learn. She just suffered from never being taught. These were all things she learned in secret. The day we confronted Aunt Wang, it was her first time truly putting it into practice, in places no one could see. His hands were shaking. My sister-in-law's 18th year was truly not easy, but she really did a great job. The servants in the house were originally divided into two types. One type was bought by my brother before we arrived, and another type, which were the relatives and friends who came from the village with us. Mother said they weren't servants. They could only be considered helpers. My sister-in-law sent all the fellow villagers out of the manor. She entrusted Nanitsin to give them severance pay and send them back to their hometowns, but there were still many who were honest and hardworking. My sister-in-law opened a shop outside for them and settled them all in. She told Mother. After staying in the inner courtyard for a long time, even those who weren't servants became like servants. They talked about going out to do business. That is earning money by one's own ability. When they came back into the manor, they could still maintain the old hometown relationship with Mother. As for those whose contracts were held in the manor, my sister-in-law picked one who wouldn't admit to stealing and had them beaten in public. If there was a next time, she would have them sold off. Anyway, the manor was about to buy new people soon. Then everyone became well-behaved. Mother didn't watch the beating. She couldn't stand it. She asked my sister-in-law,
Ming Tang,
do servants really have to be bought? They are all the same kind of people. Making them into slaves. My heart just can't bear it. Mother's courtyard was previously filled with villagers helping out. Occasionally she would join in and do it too. She was afraid of others calling themselves slaves in front of him. So my sister-in-law took us to the agency. In a small courtyard. It was packed with people of all ages. Some of the little ones looked only 5 or 6 years old. There was a girl who looked about my age who was quite clever. She pulled on Mother's sleeve and knelt down, saying, "Old madam, you are kind-hearted. Please buy me and my sister. I can do any kind of work. We don't want to go to a dirty place." Mother lifted her sleeve. It was covered in lash marks from her previous master. Behind her, she was hiding a little girl who only reached her waist. My sister-in-law stepped forward and said, "I know Mother has a kind heart and doesn't want to turn people into slaves, but you don't know. There are plenty of troublesome things in a big house." Mother fell silent. I fell silent too. We didn't know what servants in a big house were like. But we had suffered poverty in the countryside. We had endured hardship and seen families selling their children. If those people could be sold to our manor, it seemed like a pretty good way out. Mother bought that pair of sisters. She also completely understood. She let my sister-in-law follow the ways of an official's family, decorating the house to be lively and bustling. Just in my courtyard, several maids were stuffed in. After tossing and turning for over a month, the manor completely changed its look. Everything was orderly and followed the rules. There was hot soup and hot water in the kitchen 12 hours a day. Those who swept the courtyard just swept the courtyard. Those in charge of clothes and socks just worried about clothes and socks. Jewelry was kept by the most trusted head maid so it wouldn't get lost. One day when Mother got up, looking at those people working in an orderly fashion, she suddenly sighed again, thinking of the old man, saying, "I've raised the children for your Lu family. You really are a person without luck. Not having lived to see the good days we have now." After grumbling, she started worrying about the next generation of the Lu family. She asked me, "Tell me, are your brother and sister-in-law getting along well now? When will I be able to hold a grandson?" I chuckled. Spending all day by my sister-in-law's side, I know all too well whether they are getting along or not. Just take yesterday in the study. My sister-in-law was going to teach me how to read and paint. She let me pick a few picture books I was interested in. I flipped through them and found a small booklet. The story above was really interesting. It told of a village boy who went out to seek his fortune, experiencing all kinds of hardships, a story of life and death battles on the battlefield. My sister-in-law's drawing style was good, and the text was simple. I watched it with great interest. The more I looked, the more I felt the protagonist was just like my brother. I jokingly asked her, "Sister-in-law, do you think my brother is very impressive?" That's why it was drawn so vividly. My sister-in-law was embarrassed and wanted to grab the booklet back, saying it was just a work of a moment's play. Hearing my question, although her face was blushing, she couldn't help but nod and say, "My husband is naturally impressive. He dared to venture into so many places at such a young age, and was still able to make achievements in such a place as the battlefield. Surviving is better than many children of noble families." She was proud of my brother. In that pride, there was also her deep admiration. Mother and I were originally worried that they would be like a chicken talking to a duck, unable to communicate, unable to talk to each other. But judging from this young adventurer's travelogue, the things my brother and sister-in-law confided in each other were far more than what they told Mother and me. Least I didn't know that he saved General Wei with field mouse meat, especially when my brother faces my sister-in-law. His brain and courage seemed to go missing often. That day, my sister-in-law was sitting in the courtyard, watching him practice with his broadsword while she made clothes for him. There was a thread that was too tough, and no matter how she tried, she couldn't bite it off. My sister-in-law wanted to go back to the room to get scissors to cut it. My brother didn't even want to be away from her for that little bit of time. In his haste, he grabbed the thread and chopped it in two with his broadsword. He was so embarrassed he was sweating profusely, and he still had to trouble my sister-in-law to wipe it off for him with a shy look on her face. Speaking of practicing with the sword, there was one thing that was even funnier. My brother was always surrounded by young male servants. Only when he was practicing with the sword would a maid bring him tea. Once, a pretty maid had just entered the manor. She had bought this chore from another maid beforehand, and with a fake stumble, she threw herself into his arms. It just so happened that I was learning to make pastries with my sister-in-law. We caught them red-handed, caught in the act. The big, tall man was so scared he pushed the maid away. She threw herself at him. I just stood there. I didn't do anything. My sister-in-law was teasing him on purpose. Frowning, she said, "With your great martial arts skills, how could you not dodge a little woman? I understand as a wife. This is what I should manage for you." The effect was too realistic. It scared my brother so much he immediately shouted loudly, I didn't. I'll send all the maids in the manor away right now. From now on, only male servants are allowed in the manor." As he said that, he was about to go to the storehouse to find their contracts. My sister-in-law saw that she had gone too far and quickly grabbed him, saying, "What nonsense are you talking about? If you don't want them, Wanning still needs them. Our Wanning won't have a dowry when she gets married in the future. Are you going to be responsible for that?" It was also that day that I realized my virtuous sister-in-law could actually be so lively. And she was so good to me. Good until now. She was planning how to let me marry with the most confidence. Perhaps she didn't want me to suffer the hardship she had endured. Such a loving couple. My little nephew, my little niece must already be on the way. But before the child comes, my brother still has some trouble to solve. The attacks on my brother from the Shen Manor are still continuing. He doesn't want me and mother to worry. He just simply said, "This matter has already evolved into a dispute between civil and military officials. It will take some time." Actually, there is one thing Master Shen didn't say wrong. In the Great Zhao dynasty, civil and military officials do not intermarry. It's not written in the law. It's just a tradition that everyone tacitly understands, because at the beginning of the dynasty, the chief counselor and the general relied on marriage to form an alliance, almost overturning the Zhao dynasty. From then on, successive emperors intended to favor civil officials and suppress military ones, making civil and military officials opposing forces. When my sister-in-law first taught me this tradition, I was very worried about what would happen to him and my brother. She patiently explained to me, they are benefiting from the Xie family's influence. Xie Yuzhou's father is already the chief minister. Xie Yuzhou is also highly talented. The emperor will certainly want to make use of him. Rather than having him marry a minister's daughter, it would be better to marry a 5th-rank military officer's daughter. After all, General Wei is not a low rank, only 5th rank. A 5th-rank military officer at my brother's age, the weight of that is quite different. That's why the Xie family dared to let the mistake stand, marrying Miss Wei. And they were even able to enter the palace, passing the emperor's official records. Since the emperor isn't pursuing the Xie family, he naturally won't pursue my brother and sister-in-law either. I felt a bit grateful to Lord Xie Yuzhou, but I didn't expect to see him in person just a few days later. He came to ask my brother and sister-in-law for help, and he brought along Miss Wei, who almost became my sister-in-law. I quietly sized her up. She is a bit fairer than my brother, but in terms of looks, she's not much more handsome than my brother. He bowed quite politely and said, "Regarding the Shen family case, I have some matters I'd like to ask General Lu and his wife to help with. Please find a quiet place for us to discuss in detail." My brother listened, but didn't move at all. He stood there with his sword and said coldly, "My lord, do you not have anything else to say to my wife first?" Sister-in-law tugged at my brother's sleeve. "The current outcome is good for everyone. I don't take it to heart, and you shouldn't either." But this time my brother pointed his sword directly at Lord Xie. That was heaven's protection. If something had gone wrong that day, you a weak woman, she was putting you on the spot. Beating her up wouldn't be enough to vent my hatred. After saying that, she threw down her sword, and her fists went straight for Lord Xie. I was about to go over, but sister-in-law held me back. "Let him go. That man truly deserves a beating." Only then did I know that the original mistake in marriage was entirely the masterpiece of this young Master Xie. He was in love with Miss Wei, but his family background would not allow him to marry her openly. His father wouldn't approve, and Miss Wei's father wouldn't agree either, so he planned this mistaken marriage in advance. That artist from the marriage bureau, that wedding procession route, were all arranged by him early on. My brother always felt that day was suspicious. He was afraid someone was trying to harm my sister-in-law. He investigated for a long time before finding out. Xie Yuzhou chose my sister-in-law only because although she had a family, she had no one to protect her, and that is where my brother's anger lies. That mistaken marriage, if anything had gone wrong, Her stepmother would have made her life miserable. Fortunately, there are no what-ifs in this world. Sister-in-law is my sister-in-law now. Miss Wei stood to the side, covering her eyes, not daring to look, but she didn't step in to stop it either. She said to my sister-in-law, "This beating is what he deserves." When I first learned the truth, I also gave him a good beating. But I still want to explain for him. He didn't disregard you all. He had considered Brother Lu Zheng's character and knew your situation and personality before finally making up his mind. I know that even so, it was still selfish of him. But even so, I can't bear to let go. I'm returning him to you. Sister-in-law smiled, looked in my brother's direction, and replied, "Even if you wanted to return him, I wouldn't want him." Young Master Xia's methods were not honorable, but thanks to him, I found a truly honorable person. Everyone has their own fate. Young Master Xia has gone to such lengths. I hope you can also spend your lives together and get what you wish for. After sister-in-law finished speaking, my brother had finished beating him too. There were no wounds on Xia Yuzhou's face, but he probably won't recover for a month. He bowed slightly, apologized to my sister-in-law, but didn't come forward. He just glanced at Miss Wei, and Miss Wei stepped forward to support him. The two of them slowly walked away. Looking at them, it was another kind of happiness and tacit understanding. After that beating, when young Master Xia came to visit the second time, my brother was a bit more polite. After all, he was the matchmaker for him and my sister-in-law. He even prepared some common military medicine for bruises. They whispered in the study for a long time. And then a few days later, the Shen mansion fell. The list of crimes posted at the market was long and detailed. The only thing I heard clearly was treason and selling out the country. During the years my brother was risking his life on the battlefield, this old bastard was actually selling information to the enemy. He truly deserved to die 1,000 deaths. On the day of the execution, sister-in-law didn't go. My brother took her to the hot spring villa outside the city. There are mountains and water there, perfect for relaxing one's mood. Perhaps the feng shui in such a place is good too. Not long after they returned, sister-in-law was pregnant. Mother was so happy she burned 10 sticks of incense for father every day, asking him to eat well in the afterlife and to protect sister-in-law and the child. When she was 8 months pregnant, my brother received his military orders. The enemy at the border was rising again, and he had to go. Mother couldn't sleep all night, tears streaming down her face. She hugged my brother and said, "My son, let's not be officials anymore. Mother doesn't want to live in a big house, nor sleep on gold. Come back to the village with me. We can make a living by farming." My brother lowered his head and knelt down, saying only one sentence, "Mother, my heart holds more than just our family. It holds the country and those brothers of mine. This title is too heavy." Mother couldn't speak, and sister-in-law didn't say anything either. She even kept a smile on her face the whole time, smiling as she packed my brother's luggage, from clothes to shoes and socks. She didn't let Bangxia help with a single thing, folding everything neatly with her own hands. That smile made my heart ache. I couldn't help but think, perhaps the first official to suggest not marrying into military families wasn't afraid of the emperor at all. He just loved his daughter. He knew that once a military man goes to the battlefield, whether he returns alive depends on heaven. He didn't want his daughter to wait in constant fear, so he came up with such an excuse. I asked sister-in-law if she regretted it. Sister-in-law shook her head. "After being with your brother, I finally understood what a soldier is. To regret it just because they might die, that would be a desecration." My brother probably understood sister-in-law too. He didn't say anything like, "I'm sorry," but seized every moment, making many little wooden horses and wooden swords. He said that martial arts, whether for boys or girls, are beneficial, since he, the father, wouldn't be by their side. He also left sister-in-law a thick book. The handwriting wasn't great, but the meaning was beautiful. It was his feelings after every victory, to comfort sister-in-law's heart. In the second month after my brother left, sister-in-law gave birth to a very cute little niece. We named her Nianan, wishing for the safety of the one far away. Sister-in-law was still very busy managing the household, busy taking care of Nianan, and busy opening new shops. She earned a lot of money, more than the gold my brother gave her back then. Every time the imperial court asked for donations, our family always donated the most. Sister-in-law thought that if she could make my brother's armor thicker, a bit stronger, and increase his chances of survival, then no matter how hard it was worth it. But the war was so long enough that Nianan was already 3, and my brother still hadn't returned. I knew those letters reporting his safety could no longer calm sister-in-law's heart. She was secretly practicing horse riding, not giving up even when her thighs were bleeding. The reason she hadn't left yet was for me and mother. With my brother away, She felt it was her responsibility to take care of us. On little Nianen's birthday, I handed the luggage I had packed for sister-in-law to her and said proudly, "Sister-in-law, go ahead. I'm 17 now. I've learned everything I needed to learn from you. Don't worry whether it's the household or the business. I will take good care of everything." My sister-in-law hesitated for only a moment while clutching her luggage, kissed her sleeping daughter, mounted her horse, and rode off with grace. Poor me, I didn't realize that night that while business is easy to manage, a child who can't find her mother is the hardest to soothe. But fortunately, I let my sister-in-law go. My wonderful sister-in-law truly has a remarkable talent. She had intended to go to the border to open a shop, but her painting skills were even better than the professional portrait artists in the military camp. Thanks to her abilities, my brother successfully captured a very important enemy. In exchange for this enemy's return, his country signed a treaty to pay tribute to our dynasty. On the day he returned home, my brother wore a python robe, the kind of clothing only a marquis could wear. My brother married a wonderful wife, which made his life-risking efforts this time not only earn him a promotion, but also the hereditary title of Marquis of Yingyang. Wealth is one thing, but mother just breathed a sigh of relief. Even if he goes back to the battlefield and gets promoted again, a brother with a noble title surely won't have to serve as a vanguard anymore. On that happy day of family reunion, all the adults were laughing heartily, except for little Nianen, who was clinging to my leg. She is 5 years old, but she still hasn't forgotten that night when she woke up and her mother was gone. With her big sparkling eyes wide open, she pouted her lips and with a huff turned her face away, refusing to look at her parents. My brother, who is usually so strong and proud, was moved to tears by this little one. When he left, his daughter was still in the womb, and now that he's back, she's already a living, breathing child who knows how to be angry with him. When it comes to coaxing children, my sister-in-law has thrown in the towel. My brother truly dotes on little Nianen so much. If she wants to ride a horse, he'll offer his back to carry her. If she wants the moon, he'll carry her up to the roof, lifting her up high, letting her reach for it, while she giggles with delight. Moonlight spills into the courtyard, and our Lu family will surely stay together like this forever.